It's a Tuesday night. You are on your couch, pajamas, leftover Chinese food getting cold on the coffee table, some show playing on TV that you are not really watching. Your phone is face down beside you. You have work tomorrow at 8. You have been tired for 3 weeks straight. Nothing unusual. Nothing special. Just another Tuesday. You almost don't go to the gas station. Your car is nearly empty, but you figure you'll deal with it in the morning. Then you remember your commute, the traffic, being late. You grab your keys, you drive to the gas station 3 blocks from your apartment, you fill the tank, you go inside to pay. And then something happens. Something so small it barely registers. You are walking to the door to leave and something pulls you back. Not a voice, not a sign, just a feeling, the kind that has no explanation. You turn around, you walk to the counter, you put $5 on the counter and you say, "Give me 1 lottery ticket." The cashier hands it to you. You shove it in your jacket pocket without looking at it. You drive home. You eat your cold Chinese food. You go to sleep. The ticket sits in your pocket forgotten, completely forgotten. For 3 days. 3 days later, it is Friday night. You are in the same spot, same couch, different takeout. You are scrolling through your phone half asleep when a notification comes through. A news alert. Someone in your state won the $800 million jackpot. You read it, you scroll past it, you keep watching whatever is on TV. And then your brain does something. It fires a connection so small you almost miss it. A flicker, a half thought. You sit up slightly, you think about the jacket, the pocket, the ticket you never looked at. You tell yourself it is nothing. You tell yourself, do not be that person who gets their hopes up. You stay on the couch for another full minute arguing with yourself. Then you get up. You find the jacket, you dig through the pocket, past the receipts, past the old mint, you pull out the folded ticket. You unfold it with hands that have started shaking slightly without permission. You look at the numbers, you look at your phone, you look at the numbers again. Your brain stops working. Not dramatically, not with some movie moment of screaming or jumping. Your brain simply stops processing in any normal way. You sit down on the floor, not the couch, the floor. Your legs chose the floor, and there was nothing you could do about it. You sit there in your pajamas on the floor of your apartment with cold takeout on the coffee table and a lottery ticket in your hands. You check the numbers 4 times, then you download the official app and check again and again. $800 million. You call your best friend. They pick up groggy and half asleep. You say the words out loud for the first time, and your voice sounds strange to you, like it belongs to someone else. Your best friend goes completely silent. Then they say, "Say that again." You say it again. They lose their mind on the other end of the phone, screaming, laughing. You can hear them jumping around their apartment at midnight. You stay completely still. You are calm in the way that people are calm when their brain has simply stopped accepting new information. You sit on the floor of your apartment while your best friend loses their mind on the phone, and you just sit there, quiet, still, holding the ticket. You do not sleep that night, not 1 minute. You lie in bed and stare at the ceiling for 6 hours. You think about your job. You think about your parents. You think about every decision you have ever made and whether it led to this couch in this apartment, to that gas station on that night. You think about the $5 bill you almost did not spend. You think about the feeling that pulled you back to the counter. You think about what happens now. At 6 in the morning, you do the smartest thing you have ever done. You call a lawyer before you call anyone else. You read somewhere that this is what you are supposed to do, and in the fog of no sleep and impossible reality, this single piece of remembered advice is the first rational decision of your new life. The lawyer answers. You explain the situation. There is a long pause. Then they say very clearly, do not tell anyone. Do not post anything. Do not go anywhere. Come to my office Monday morning and bring the ticket. You say, okay. You hang up. And then you spend the longest 72 hours of your entire life knowing you have $800 million and telling absolutely nobody. You go to the grocery store. You walk through the aisles picking up the same cheap pasta you always buy, and your brain is screaming at you that you do not need to buy cheap pasta anymore, and your face is completely normal. You go to work on Monday morning. You sit at your desk. Your manager asks you to finish a report by end of day. You say yes. You finish the report. You submit it. You walk out of the building at 5 p.m. and you never go back. Monday evening, you sit in a conference room with a lawyer and a financial advisor, and they explain everything. They explain taxes, they explain trusts, they explain the lump sum versus annuity decision, they explain what happens if you tell people and what happens if you don't. You understand approximately half of it. You nod along to the rest, you're wearing your nicest outfit and you haven't slept properly in 4 days, and somewhere in your brain is the number $800 million. You take the lump sum. After taxes, you walk away with $730 million. The number lands in your account on a Wednesday morning. You are eating cereal at your kitchen table when it happens. You check your balance, you put your spoon down. You check it again, you pick your spoon back up, you finish your cereal, you sit at the table for a very long time. Then you call your mom. She picks up immediately. She always picks up immediately. You tell her to sit down. She says, "Why?" You tell her again to sit down. She says you're scaring her. You tell her the number. There is silence on the line for so long you think the call is dropped. Then she says, "That is not possible." You tell her it is. She cries. Not delicate crying, real crying. The kind that comes from somewhere deep. You start crying, you pretend you're not crying, you are completely crying. You call your dad next. Your dad has worked at the same company for 27 years. Same desk, same commute, same lunch. When you tell him the number, he is quiet for a moment. Then he says, "What do you need me to do?" That's who your dad is. Even in the most extraordinary moment of both your lives, his first instinct is to help. You tell him you need him to retire. He starts to argue. He says he's fine. He says work keeps him sharp. You tell him the number again, slowly. He retires the following Friday. The first thing you buy is a car. Not the sensible car you always told yourself you would get when you had money. You walk into a dealership and you go directly to the thing you actually want. A Lamborghini Urus in matte black. The salesman approaches you with the energy of someone who is about to waste their time. You tell him you want that one. He looks at your outfit. He starts to explain financing options. You tell him you are paying cash. His entire face reorganizes itself. You drive it home at exactly the speed limit because you are terrified of scratching it. The second thing you do is find a house. Not in your neighborhood. You move to the part of the city where the streets are wider and the gates are taller, and the silence is something you can actually feel. You spend $12 million on a house with 6 bedrooms, a pool, a home theater, and a wine cellar. You don't drink much wine, but the cellar is there, so you fill it with $200,000 worth of bottles you'll never finish. You hire a personal chef. He is extraordinary. Every meal is a revelation. You gain 7 pounds in the first month. You hire a personal trainer to fix this. The chef and the trainer develop an immediate and passionate hatred for each other, and you find this extremely entertaining. You buy a yacht, 60 feet. You are not a good sailor. Your captain is excellent. You drink wine on the deck while he does everything. This is the correct arrangement. You take your entire family to the Maldives. Your parents, your siblings, your cousins, 10 people total. Private overwater villa. Every meal is fresh seafood. Every afternoon is the most beautiful water you have ever seen. Your uncle, who has never been comfortable in open water, nearly drowns in 4 feet of perfectly calm, crystal clear ocean. You laugh so hard you can't breathe. Your sides hurt for 2 days. It is the best holiday of your life. 6 months after the ticket, you fly to Paris, first class for the first time. You have champagne at 10 in the morning because it's free and you're rich, and the rules of sensible behavior have become more of a suggestion. Paris is extraordinary. You stay at the Ritz. Your suite is $15,000 a night. You stay for a week. You barely leave the suite because the bed is the most comfortable object you have ever encountered in your life, and you have nowhere to be and nobody needs you. And for the first time in years, you are completely unreachable, and it feels like something you didn't know you needed. You set up a foundation. You give $20 million to causes that matter to you. And here is what nobody tells you before you get rich. The moment you write that check, the moment you see what 20 million can actually do for people, that feeling, it's bigger than the car. It's bigger than the house. It's bigger than Paris. It's the most extraordinary thing that money has ever made you feel, and you are not prepared for it at all. You are sitting on the deck of your yacht, somewhere in the Mediterranean. The sun is going down and the water is doing something with a light that doesn't have a name. Your glass is full. There is nowhere you need to be tomorrow. No alarm, no report due, no manager, no commute, just the water and the light and the wine and the quiet. You think about the Tuesday night, the couch, the cold Chinese food, the gas station you almost skipped, the $5 bill, the feeling that pulled you back to the counter, the cashier who handed you the ticket without looking up, the jacket pocket, the 3 days, the floor of your apartment. You think about how close you came to not turning around. You think about the version of you that walked straight out of that gas station and drove home and went to sleep and never knew. That version is out there somewhere, living a Tuesday that looks exactly like every other Tuesday, tired from the same commute, eating the same takeout, watching the same show. $5. One impulse, one turn back to the counter, and the entire shape of your life changed. You look out at the water, you raise your glass, and you are very glad you turned around.